Morning, all. News of the day. And we're going to start off with news coming out about the schedule, which is that Calgary and Edmonton will play each other 10 times this season. So it's going to be 9 or 10 versus the other Canadian teams. And of course, it's 8 times that you'll see every team in your division in the States. And it's going to be a fun year. Really is. 10 Battles of Alberta. Keep in mind that the plan with the scheduling is to make them back-to-backs. Sometimes there may be 3 in a row. Maybe they'll play 3 times in 4 nights with some of these series. And that'll make for greater intensity. It's a 56-game schedule over 115 days. That is a very, very short schedule in terms of the actual dates available. And it does mean that we're going to see some pretty amazing hockey along the way. So the fact that we're going to see Calgary and Edmonton that many times, you may look at it and say, that's too much. It's going to get boring. It doesn't. You'd be surprised. It doesn't. Really doesn't. So I'm looking forward to that. Interesting news out of Ottawa. DJ Smith intends to try Goodbranson with Shabbat. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that could work. Eric Goodbranson had his struggles in Vancouver, has had struggles in other locales as well, but he can be very effective when utilized correctly. If he clicks well in Ottawa with Shabbat, that could be a really solid pairing. And for Ottawa, a team that does have depth issues on the blue line, if Goodbranson plays as well for them as he did in Anaheim, I think it's going to be a surprisingly solid move for them. They're not a team that couldn't afford that contract anyways, so pretty solid pickup for them. And we'll see how that goes. I do wish Goodbranson only the best in this. Hopefully it works out for him. Arizona made news twice over the last 24 hours. First off, they did sign Drake Caggiula for 1 year, $700,000. Solid bottom 6 pickup there. There's also rumors out there that Frederick Gauthier may sign a professional tryout contract with Arizona. Watch for some guys to get tryout contracts over the next few days as we get closer to training camp. But also, Arizona is going to be playing with limited attendance. Dallas, limited attendance. Florida, limited attendance. And there will be others who have limited attendance. And it's also coming out Denver. Joe Sakic's already said there won't be any fans in attendance at home. We know the California teams won't have fans in attendance at home. So it's interesting that some of the cities where fans are allowed are the ones that we've talked for years about. Oh, they don't get the fans, they just don't get the attendance. But there's some of the few arenas that are allowed at this point. So that's of course a moving target. As the year goes along, as we get through the season, those numbers should change. And we should see arenas gradually start to fill up as we get closer to the playoffs. And I don't mean like 100%, but we should start seeing fans in attendance as we get closer to the playoffs and then into the playoffs as well. So this is the NHL working with local officials on what's allowed and what isn't, and going from there. Also making news yesterday, ads on helmets. Yeah, they're coming. The NHL is looking to make up to about $15 million this year with ads on helmets. And, I mean, that's not nothing, right? That's a decent chunk of change. It gets split between the 31 teams, comes out to about $500,000 a team. And so we'll see how that turns out and whether or not that project actually ends up being lucrative on any level. They're going to be looking for other ways to advertise, clearly. In a season where we're not going to see fans, we're going to see a shortened season, they're going to be looking for new revenue streams. The NHL also, I would imagine, would carry this over into next year. So cue all the jokes about which ads should appear on which guy's helmet and that kind of stuff. But once you bring it in, it's really hard to take it back out. Once we've got ads on the helmets, it's going to be really hard to get them out. So it's just like those ads that they project onto the glass behind the nets. Those really distracting, they don't look right ads that move around a bit. And they're not actually there. And those are the ones that drive me insane. And yet they're in those games, and it's tough. But again, they're not going to go anywhere. It's not like they're leaving because networks need the revenues too. Interesting news with Boston. They are talking to Zdeno Chara. It sounds like Zdeno Chara is still weighing options about whether or not he might retire or stick around. honestly, with this shortened schedule, with this 56-game schedule over 115 days, and the fact you're only playing in your division to try to limit travel, I think that'll work for Chara. I get the feeling that he's probably more likely to play, but he's only talking to Boston right now. That being said, his agent's claiming that up to 20 teams have reached out. Doesn't surprise me. He's about 7 feet tall. He can still play in your top 6. He's not the defenseman he was. He's not the top 4 guy that he was. He's not Norris level, but he won't hurt your top 6. So, and he won't be playing for a lot of money. So it doesn't surprise me that so many teams are reaching out and talking to him about the possibility of playing. But right now, he wants to play in Boston. And the Canucks, they're still hopeful that they get to play at home. So there's talks about, of course, there's a lockdown in Ontario. Quebec's got some concerns with their numbers. And every province right now is going through their own version of this. And so the Canucks haven't given up. I know there's still supposed to be talks during this week between Bill Daly and the provincial authorities on how this could work. And the NHL's doing its best to try to, do something with Canada that's going to work. And if they have to end up doing hubs, I think that's where they end up. But we'll see. We'll see. And if it's a Canadian hub, it'll probably be, you would think, probably in Edmonton. Considering the lockdown in Toronto, it would probably be in Edmonton. So, here's to, fingers crossed that all of this goes down without a hitch. And hockey's back on the 13th of January. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.